If your microphones are not muted, please mute your microphones. It's in the bottom left-hand corner. And I'm just gonna say hi to Bobby, Brenda, Dan, David, Diane, Ellen, Emily, Jane, Karen. Good, we have some people coming on. Excellent. Katie, Gloria, Dwight, Rhonda. And so what we're gonna do is gonna go over what shelter in place means in case people have some questions about that. From there then, go into some things that I think are relevant for shelter in place, and then do Q&A. And this is more free flowing, so we're gonna do this as much as or as little as you guys want. If you guys wanna share your video, I think that's helpful. If you guys have the bandwidth so I can see people's faces. If not, no problem. And so I am going to begin. And if throughout the whole time, if you guys have questions, please put questions into the box, the chat box, and we'll go questions down that way there. So let us talk about, first of all, the order, the shelter in place. Hey, Dan, I can see you there. The shelter in place is a way that we are limiting us from being asymptomatic or that we are carrying the infection to other people. Again, we could have symptoms 2 to 14 days, or we can be passing the COVID-19 2 to 14 days before we have symptoms, so we might be giving it to other people. And based off what we're seeing here is that, and you're probably seeing it in New York and in Italy, that we don't have the healthcare system to take care of all of us who are going to get sick. That's the bottom line. And so by us sheltering in place, then what that means is we're staying home other than the essential things, other than food, other than if we have a car issue, other than if we need something for our house repairs, healthcare, and exercise. That's the critical thing about shelter in place, that the more that we can not spread this, the better we can be for our health. And the better that we're not spreading it to our friends or family, and the quicker this is over. At the current rate, we will probably be in shelter in place, according to the US Secretary of Treasury, 10 to 12 weeks. So that's July 1, June or July 1. So that's what I'm preparing in my head. And again, stress equals unmet expectations. So if I think we're going to be out of the shelter in place April 1 or April 6th, and now it's April 7th, I'm going to be stressed. So I'm thinking in my head, August 1 or September 1, that's when I'm going to be getting off the shelter in place. I'll come to Tom's question here in a minute. The other thing just came out with Hong Kong. Hong Kong felt like they defeated the coronavirus. They eased up their shelter in place or their restrictions, and now they're having a second wave of it. So the nice thing about America is that we can learn from China, South Korea, Italy, Hong Kong, Europe, and we are going to use the best practices here. Also, I believe we've had a great governor having leadership here in Ohio. And not all of us are from Ohio, but I think our governors of this country are doing a great job in terms of leading this from a state-by-state basis. Let me answer Tom's question. Blood supply is short. Does giving blood reduce immunity temporarily? He's 68 years old, should I give blood? the way I would approach it is that I think it's great that you're even thinking like that way, and that we should all think that way of what can we do for society. And so have I seen giving blood reduce our immunity? No. Have I seen that giving blood makes some people tired? Yes. So do I think it's probably, if you're giving blood, you give blood, but then you go home and you rest till you're back to your 100% energy level. That might take 3 hours, 6 hours, a day or two, and then I would venture back out. Hey, Cindy, and see her there. So I hope that answers that question. Now, if you have other questions, please ask in the chat box. Hey, Michael. And I think before I do more about the shelter in place, is that there was some confusion about what we're doing at Canodia MD regarding our help to you guys in this time of need. So Canodia MD, we're going to eat the costs of shipping of supplements and products to you guys, so we can help that, so you can stay at home for those supplements and products. Number two is that we're going to give 50% off my appointments and the dietitian appointments. So therefore then I can, so like that's another way of saving you guys money, because functional medicine is very, very important now more than ever with this COVID-19 or coronavirus, meaning that there is more to do than just hand washing and social distancing. Those two things and shelter in place. Those things in and of itself will not fix it, and we know that. Almost everyone on here has seen that functional medicine, integrative medicine has helped them and their families out above and beyond what standard of care has talked about. So just so that we put that into perspective there. Now, let's go back into shelter in place. How do I look at this? How did I talk about this with my team and I'm doing in my own life? It comes back now to the basics of life. I break it down into about 7 things. Number 1 is food. Do I have at least 2 weeks of food in my house if I can't go grocery shopping? And my answer is yes. It's in my freezer, it's in my fridge, it's on my shelves. And I even got some things like reconstituted food where I can just add hot water to it and it makes it into a meal. The ones that I got was from a company called GetYourElements.com, and I'll put it in the chat box. They have Whole30, whoa. Okay, don't do that button there. They have Whole30 approved meals. And so I got some of those. I used to add some hot water in it, and away I go with those. There's probably a whole bunch of other things that are shelf stable out there. In terms of food, that also means water. I have 2 weeks of water, meaning bottled water, that in case of if the water goes out, if running water stops, I have water. That's assuming that I'm drinking 8 to 16 ounces of water a day, just for me drinking myself. That's not cleaning dishes, that's not doing showering. I've seen one study saying the average human might need 1 gallon per day for basic life stuff. That's number 1 is how I improve, how I'm looking at shelter in place. Number 2 is shelter. Do I have a roof over my head? And meaning that, my place, I don't have any rent and I don't have a mortgage, so I'm safe there. But I would make sure that you're able to pay your house payment, your mortgage payment, or your rent payment. And if you're not able to do that, talk to your landlord, your bank, whatever it is, make arrangements there. Again, things are going to get worse before they get better. So make sure that you have, I would say, in my opinion, 6 months of rent or mortgage in the bank or whatever it is. And so that you can make payments so you have a place to live. And if you can't live where you're living, find a place to live. Your brothers, your sisters, your aunts, your uncles, your kids, etc. So keep this simple. Just have a roof over your head. And make sure you have money for a roof. Next is communication. And I'm a face toucher, so please don't follow me on this. I probably should be doing this audio, not video. And again, if you have questions in the chat box, please put them in. Now, the next thing is going to be communications. So you may have seen for some of yours, I've seen it with mine, sometimes my cell phone's not working. So if that's the case, have a backup plan with your friends or family. Meaning, if you guys aren't able to communicate, that they don't get worried with you, that you will contact them when you're able to. 1 day, 5 days, 10 days, or if something is really bad, you guys have a meeting point to meet at or something. So some type of communication that everyone's on the same page. There are also, in terms of communication, I recommend having a radio in the house. Back to the old school stuff. And what I mean, something that's used batteries or something that uses electricity. So you can pick up the local news or the local things if for some reason you can't the other ways. So a battery powered radio would be great to have. When some people will get walkie-talkies, or some people will get the ham radios, whatever you think that you need to communicate with. Some people will get landlines, moving away from internet-based cell phones, internet-based phone systems. But again, communications, how would you talk to your friends or family if you need to? Next is transportation. So meaning, how are you going to get to the grocery store and back? How are you going to get to your healthcare facility and back? How are you going to just the basic things of life, right? The couple, two or three things you need that are important. And I'll ask Brenda's thing here in a second. So what did I do over the weekend? I got a bicycle, right? So just in case, if my car went bad or didn't work, I have a way to transport myself around the city to go to a grocery store if I needed to and back. And I also got a book bag. So I grabbed my high school book bag, like the backpacks we had back in high school. I have one of those. So I could have that on my backpack and ride my bicycle. I got a helmet. I got a couple other things. I got like a light for my front and a light for the back in case I have to drive at night. Just keep it simple. Transportation. The other thing about transportation is, in your car, I recommend if your gas is over at half, fill it up again. Because you just never know. You don't want to go on that Seinfeld episode where Kramer and them are going all the way down to the bottom of the thing and seeing how close they can get to E, etc. Hey, Brandy, good to see you. And so I think that's another important thing about transportation. And in terms of transportation, again, I went over this in my other podcasts or webinars and Facebook Lives and Cindy actually taught me this. She's on the phone call here or on the webinar, was the average gas station, 100 people touch the average pump per day. This was before COVID-19. So what do? I have a pair of gloves and I have my mask, and I have some hand sanitizer in the car. I will put my gloves on, my mask on, use those gloves to touch the pump. I'll put my credit card in, credit card out, pump it. If you have enough gloves, you can throw the gloves away before you get back in your car. Use a hand sanitizer on the credit card and put the credit card back in your wallet. I hope I did that okay, Cindy. Yeah, if not, Cindy will correct us in the chat box to the right here, because she's been helping me too. This is a team approach here for this. And some people have to reuse the gloves, or have to reuse some of these things, and that's okay. Or reuse the mask, that's perfectly okay. I'll come back to transportation here in a minute. I think that might be it about transportation. Brenda asked this, can you have influenza A and COVID-19 at the same time? So the research is showing it is a very, very small possibility. So the guidelines from Ohio Health and most other national and international organizations is, if you test positive for influenza A and B, we give you the medication, and then we see how you do over the next 48 hours. If you're not, but if you feel concerned, you can still self-quarantine yourself. And if we're not getting better, not seeing certain improvement over the next 48 hours, then it is possible then to possibly call your doctor and get tested for COVID-19. But at this point, the guidelines are not to test for both. I think Cindy says, if you do reuse, I believe it's Cindy, it says iPad, but if you do reuse the gloves, wash them in soap and water or hand sanitize them. I think it's a great idea. Brenda says, I saw a post that suggests using plastic grocery bags for pumping gas if gloves are available. Brenda, great idea. I think these plastic bags finally have a usage other than polluting our oceans. So yes, we're gonna use what we have. So I talked about the first four: food, shelter, communications, transportation. The next things comes energy, meaning what? What happens if the heat goes out? How do you protect yourself? So I bought a generator, both for my home and for the office, just in case. And so that way then I can make heat. It's still, March here. So, and winter may go on, or spring may go to whatever, for at least another couple weeks or a month. So that's the next thing I want to do, is make sure that I can make enough heat for myself. Nicole asked a question, how careful, and I'll come back to the next thing, how careful should we be with mail-in boxes that are delivered to our home? I looked at the research of this. This was a big question. Let me pull up my research on this. So, when I look at this issue, yes, these things can, quote unquote, survive on cardboard boxes, on plastics, etc. However, is it to the amount that you could become, quote unquote, infected? Probably not. That's one thing. Second thing is, by the time you mail something, then it's going to go to the post office is handling it, and the post office then delivering it, all the temperature, hot, cold, all the stuff like that. It's very unlikely. Is that my first concern? My answer is no. I think stress is a hell of a bigger concern, not sleeping well, not exercising, that, that new diagnosis, which I love, nature deficient disorder. Those things are so much worse than that. So I'm not concerned about that. Okay, let's talk about the next thing is environment. So I'm not sure if you guys heard of Victory Gardens in World War II. And let me talk about this also, World War II, World War I, right? What we have going on, what our federal government is asking us to do is stay home. Our federal government, our state government, our county government is not asking us to go to Europe, not asking us to go to Asia. They're not asking us to go to war and kill their people. They're asking us to stay home. So our war is a heck of a lot easier war than World War I, World War II, Vietnam, or the Korean War. So I'm really grateful that what they're asking us to do is not as hard as what many of our parents, grandparents, and great-grandparents had to go through. So the next thing is environment and Victory Gardens. And before I say that, let me iterate this again. The number one thing we can do is have a belief that we will get through this. If you have that fundamental belief in your body, every cell of your body, if you believe that, your chances of surviving, thriving, and succeeding through this is astronomically higher. If you're worrying, you're a worrywart, oh my God, the world is ending, oh my God, how am I going to get through today? You're the person who has a lower immune system. You're the person who's going to get the COVID-19 and then go from a mild to a severe case. So if you have that fundamental belief, that's why I'm doing these for us, right? So we are a community of like-minded people. Look at the people who are on, I'm not sure if you can see the people who are on this chat or not, or on this thing here. Again, find someone who's like-minded with you, that can-do attitude, that has a fundamental belief they're going to get through this. Find a person, find a buddy, anyone. Find someone that has that and make them your friend. If you have a worrywart in your family, or not maybe family, in your friends, cut them off. Don't answer their texts, don't answer their Facebooks. Those are the people that are going to drag you down, right? Do the best you can to support them, but don't hang around people that are the world is going to end type of things. That's gonna hurt you and your family. So for instance, like, never mind, I'm not going to talk about my family, so because this is being recorded. Okay. Sherry asked a question privately, which is a great question. I'm going to share to everyone. So yes, if you ask me a question privately, I am going to share with everyone because probably other people may have this question too. Is there a special laundry detergent that kills viruses on clothes? I have not seen one. If anyone else has seen it, please put in the chat box. And Cindy may know this, but I think the standard stuff are fine. The next thing is environment. So we talked about food, we talked about shelter, we talked about communications, we talked about transportation, energy, environment, meaning what? Growing our own food, going back to the Victory Gardens. The next thing I'm learning is how do I grow some food in my condo? How do I grow some food? Maybe it's hydroponics, simple things, right? And therefore then I'm not reliant on the grocery stores or those other things. Maybe I can't grow a chicken or my meat, but maybe I can grow some veggies or something else like that. Because again, this is gonna go on till May, June, July, August, right? If we talk about the Spanish flu of 1918, the worst flu, and some people think this is gonna be worse than that. Is that it started out same winter time. It was the worst next spring. 9 to 12 months later. So again, look at Hong Kong. We may get better. Summer may come, fall may come, but next winter, spring may be even worse. One report said America will not get back to normal till about 18 months. So that is December of 2021. So in my head, I'm planning for things to get better by December of 2021. That's how I'm planning. So what things I need to do now, between now and December 2021, to keep my basic things going? Again, food, shelter, healthcare. Does that make sense? Big picture? If things are a lot better in 3 months, awesome. I'm going to go back to watching my sports. I'm going to be going to my restaurants, hanging with my friends. But if not, I'm not going to be depressed or anxious. So Carol wrote something privately that any laundry detergent kills COVID-19 because the shell of the virus is lipid and will dissolve with most detergents. Not sure, that sort of makes sense. Another person, I think from the iPad, and I think it is our famous Cindy, says that, and thank you, Cindy, for being on the call, that using hot water to wash all the clothes and add either 3% hydrogen peroxide, or you can use essential oils like eucalyptus or baking soda to the laundry detergent. You can also add bleach, but don't mix with any other laundry detergent. She posted in the chat box. You guys can probably read that better than I just said that out loud. I apologize. That's the environment. The last thing I have is finances, right? So the critical thing about finances is that what do you need for the next 18 months between now and December of 2021 is how I'm looking at things. Again, shelter, food, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, healthcare. And in my opinion, again, I'm not a financial person. Now, if in case you need it, now's a very good time to get a loan on your 401k. How can you retire if you're not healthy, right? Got to have the basics in place. So that's how I'm probably upset. Okay, got to have my money in place for all the things I need, plus my health. Everything else is extra. So all the money I was using maybe for sports or maybe for other things, restaurants, I'm now diverting that money for the basics of life. Food, shelter, health, etc. I hope that makes sense. Let's look at a few more things from the American Red Cross on this, on shelter in place. Then we'll get to the fun stuff, functional medicine shelter in place, the things that I want to talk about. The basic things, also shelter in place, is having something like paper, notepads, staplers, tape. So in case you have to talk to your neighbors and you can't, like if something happens, you can have a note or something like that. If cell phones, all things go down, you can do those things, right? So some type of paper communication. I think that flashlights, glow sticks, and the hand crank flashlights. The basic stuff again. Fire extinguisher, blankets. This was an interesting one I loved. A pry bar. Not to break into my condo, please don't break in. But just in case, say, if for some reason something happens and there's damage or debris blocking a door or blocking an exit way, that you have a pry bar to help get you out of your place. Worst case scenario. And then the basic things is trash receptacles, trash can liners, Any tools you think you need, that side. I think that pretty much covers everything from that standpoint. I will answer questions about, okay, I got another question here about shelter in place, and I'll put another link up. This is a link I found for shelter in place from the American Red Cross. There's a little bit more things in there, but you guys get the picture. How do you get someone to understand the seriousness of this when they just want to tell you how many people died from the flu? Great question, Emily. So this is what the data shows, and I'm a data junkie. And I was the first one, and Nicole in my office can tell you, maybe a month ago, someone asked me, what do I think about the coronavirus? I said, I'm not worried at all, right? And so I've changed my tune 180 degrees looking at the data. So what is the data showing? What is the real data? Not fake, not projections. Flu kills 0.1% of people. So that's between 20 and 70,000 people. The coronavirus, COVID-19 kills between 1 and 3%. I just did the numbers today from the Johns Hopkins website, right? And I'm not sure if you guys know about this. I will put this on there too. The link I sent you is a great dashboard from Johns Hopkins about how many people have it around the world, how many deaths, how many recovered, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so then when I'm looking at this, even the former head of the US CDC says between 1 and 4%. And so even at 1%, that's 10 times higher. At 3-4%, that's Italy's number. When you look at Johns Hopkins' data, it's the whole world's running around a 3 to 4% rate. So that's 30 times to 40 times the amount of deaths. So if we're talking about the worst flu ever, that was Spanish flu of 1918. Again, let's just say an average number of 50,000 Americans die a year of the flu. The Spanish flu of 1918 killed 700,000. Okay? And that's just a tenfold. That's just a 1%. Now, what if we do 3 times that? That's what, 2.1 million, if I have the numbers right, Americans on that. The number one killer of this country is heart disease. That's 650,000 a year. So we're going from 70,000 to at least 140, no, at least, I don't even know, 700,000 is what the numbers are saying in America. So, and probably it could be to the point of 2 to 3 million in America, easy. And so can those numbers come down dramatically? The answer is yes, with the shelter in place. If the hospitals have what they have, need what they have, the protective personal equipment, the ventilators, those things, and the things that we're doing here for functional medicine, right? If we do all these things, can we do better than what Italy's doing? The answer is yes. But look at New York City. Ohio's maybe 9 days away from New York City. So this is serious, but there's also, again, we're going to get through this, but this is serious. This is different than the flu. And the other amazing thing, right? So you can look at Italy, you can look at South Korea. South Korea applied everything that the WHO, the World Health Organization, the healthcare arm of the UN, their rate was only 5 times the flu, so 0.6% death. Where Italy's, they did not follow what the WHO said. America did not follow what the WHO said. Italy's rate, 3, 4, 5%, right? And they have stopped counting dead people. They have said anyone over the age of 60 does not get a ventilator, right? And so, and New York City has said within 10 days or a week, they will have not enough supplies for everyone that's sick. That's New York City. That's New York. This is not, we're talking about some third world country. New York City is saying, we will not have it. So, I mean, I guess the people who know me, how often have I done webinars? How often have I done Facebook? 0. Why? Because I have other things to do with my time and energy. I love functional medicine. I love my peace. I love my happiness. I'm still having my peace and happiness, but I'm doing this to help all of us out as a community of survivors and thrivers through this. I hope that was a very long answer to Emily's, but I want to make sure we understand that. The protocols for handling groceries, bags, etc. So let me tell you how I do this, and I'll go back to Hong Kong. Is I am in a grocery store with my mask, gloves, and hand sanitizer. So I saw scientists from Hong Kong speak, the epidemiologists, the scientists who helped with their things. They did say that wearing masks in the general public did help them decrease the coronavirus. So I'm not saying you have to wear a mask. You can wear a scarf. You can make your own mask. You've probably seen many things now to make your own mask. Do I think it's a good idea to wear a mask? I do. And I'm not talking about having a medical mask, but make your own. I know one person made out of a bra. I'm not going to mention any names here. And it wasn't a male, but I guess males can also wear bras too nowadays. But yes, wear something. Jerome and Ruth, you're laughing, but I am serious, right? This is a time of innovation. This is a time of thriving. Yes, the bra is funny, but if the bra works, like, what's it say? If it fits, it fits. I don't know the saying, never mind. But I'm trying to think of that saying, but I can't think of it. I'm too tired. It's been a long day. So I've got a mask or my scarf, right? I've got my gloves. Thank you, DW Hanger. If the shoe fits, wear it. I think that's the saying. So, and then I got my mask. I've got my gloves. I'm doing my shopping like I normally do. I check out, and then if you have extra gloves, then you throw them away. You can throw your mask away, or you don't. Take them home and again wash it in soap and water. Those other things. Am I concerned with my food and those things? I'm not. Meaning, wash every box or that kind of stuff. No. But do I think that the produce and those types of things, you get to do an extra cleaning on them? I do. Soap, water, etc. So that's how I approach grocery shopping. Do I think it's probably better to do it once a week than every day? My answer is yes. That's going to be healthier for you to do that. The question now is from Jerome and Ruthie. What do you think about colloidal silver? I think it is a good antimicrobial. It is one of many that I use. And so each person is going to be different. And usually I rotate, I'll try things 2, 3, 4 days. And if I like it, then if I'm starting to feel better, I'll keep it. If not, I might rotate to another one. The thing with many of these things are not pharmaceutical grade, and there's different levels of colloidal silver. If you do it wrong, you have issues. So, and so the answer is yes, if you get a pharmaceutical grade. If you want to know the one that I'm doing, contact the office, and we can help you with that. Where I talked to one patient today, she has a history of asthma. So we're using intranasal spray of colloidal silver for her. Other people would take it orally. It just depends on each person to some degree. The next question is, can you get the virus even and not even have symptoms? The answer is yes. So again, again, so between 2 and 14 days, you may not even have symptoms. And depending on how healthy you are, you may just give me a sniffle or maybe even nothing. I'm kind of tired for a couple of days, and that's it. So again, everyone has a different immune system. Everyone has a different amount of stress, sleep, etc. So you may be getting it and not even know it. That's why the whole shelter in place. We don't know who has it and who doesn't have it. And therefore then, by us congregating, we're passing it around and causing problems. I saw a study published in a journal for gastroenterology. Many people, their first symptoms are GI tract symptoms, nausea, vomiting, stomach pains, etc. And they did not think they had the coronavirus, so they waited, and therefore then when they did get it, when they did seek care, they actually had worse outcomes because their illness was further along. So it doesn't have to only be respiratory, it can also be other things, just like the stomach flu, right? Some people get the stomach flu, and that's a bug affecting the gut, the GI tract, not affecting the respiratory symptom. Kevin talks about ozone. So yes, if I had to pick, so we have mindset, which is where there's stress, you've got the sleep. The two biggest things I see over and over with all of my research are these: ozone and a high dose IV vitamin C. Let me go about this big picture. So when I look at people's, and we can do lab testing to see where your immune system is. The labs I'd recommend for your immune system, one would be the Wheatzoomer. I'll write them down here. The stool study that we have, I don't know, it's called comprehensive stool and methylation. All those three, oh, I think that was private. I guess send it to everyone. Okay, send it to everyone. Those are the three biggest ones to measure immune system. So now let me go back to ozone, and then I'll come to IV vitamin C. So in general, let me come to ozone for 1 second. If you guys want information on ozone, I can send you guys an email. Just put your email address in the chat box or contact the office, and I'll send emails out to everyone about ozone. So the two ways of doing ozone is the best, is rectal and IV. And let me show you guys a picture about ozone. Kevin, I'll send you that email. I'm going to share my screen with everyone. Mitris, Jane, I'll send you the email. Okay, everyone should be able to see this. Oxygen is O2, ozone's O3. And that extra O, that's the part that makes it very, very powerful. And oxygen makes up 65% of the body. It's the most abundant element of the body. And 90% of all of our energy comes from oxygen. So if you don't have enough oxygen, your immune system ain't going to be where it needs to be. So everyone probably heard of free radicals. That's what this ROS means, free radicals. You can see O2 there. Don't have enough free radicals. You have what we call aging, the medical term is aging, oxidative stress, you get cell death. This is another graphic on free radicals. This is the ROS, too much free radicals. On the bottom left-hand corner here, you have immune system problems. So all the things that ozone does, increases energy, anti-inflammatory, improves immune system, autoimmune, sugar, chelation, antioxidants. So effects can last for up to 4 months, which is great. Increases oxygenation, increases overall healing, overall immune system. So we have seen people who have low white blood cell counts, 2 days already, doing ozone, their white blood cell counts go up. White blood cells are what are the cells that actually improve the immune system to kill off infections. So everyone should have their white blood cell count at least above 5. And if not, then we need to do something for your immune system. And overall healing, you see these things here, and then you can look. Ozone, look at the things that are on here. Virus, 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 bacteria, virus. I can go on and on and on. Yeast, etc. So I'm going to stop screen share. So two types of ozone. One is rectal ozone, you can do at home. And that, I would say probably most people's immune system is a 4 out of 10, 10 being awesome. Some people, there's a lot less. If you have a low white blood cell count, like on the wheat zoomer, if you have a low IgG, low IgA, if on the stool studies, you have a low secretory IgA. Also, I shouldn't touch my face. Also on your methylation tests, if they're abnormal, then those are indications that yes, your immune system probably isn't balanced. Rectal ozone can get you to a 6 out of 10. You do it at home. We give you oxygen. You do, it takes about 10-15 minutes twice a day, 6 days a week. The cost of that to rent it is about $750 a month. You can buy one from us and then just rent the oxygen also. Nicole will teach you how to do that. That's pretty easy to do, and it's a great way to boost up your immune system and help overall health. And And after you're healthy, this is all past. People are still doing rectal ozone maybe 3 days a month, almost like an oil change for the body, because all the time we're producing more free radicals. Now, the badass way is the IV ozone. That's an 8 out of 10, and where we just give you an IV. It takes about 10, 15 minutes to do. It takes about a minute to do, and then we have you rest for 10 or 15 minutes in a chair. And the people who do that, who get the best results, people who do it 3 times a week in my office. And most people see benefits within the first month, with some take 3 months. So if someone said what's optimal, I would say depends on your schedule and depends on the cost structure. Each IV ozone is about $135. It depends on your cost structure, and it depends on how much time you have to come to the office. But I think ozone is a big part of that. And it's not on my one-page handles and other things like that, because these are more high-tech stuff. I want to get more granular with you guys here, because you guys want to have the time and energy to do this. The question that Cheryl asked, what's the risk of ozone? The greatest thing is, so one, on the rectal ozone, it can be a big or small dose that we use. So meaning that we use a very small dose and build up to the body. That's number one. Number two, the IV ozone, we had a safety study that was done. I think it involved, I don't even know, 10,000, 20,000 different data points. And the biggest thing some people we saw was a cough, just for like 5, 10, 20 minutes. We don't even see that in our office. And the reason is we start at an even lower dose because we want the best results for our patients. So ozone for us is pretty safe. I'm doing it, my staff's doing it, because we start at, everyone gets a personalized dose and builds up. And we've been doing it for a pretty long time. And we trained with the #1 person who does it in the world. And why am I doing ozone? One of my friends, and many of you guys know him, Mark Hyman, he was very, very sick. And I'm not breaking any confidentiality. He talks about this on radio, on TV, etc. He was having inflammatory bowel disease really, really bad. Like bowel movements 10, 12 times a day. Nothing was working in functional medicine. All the supplements, all this stuff, nothing was working. It was the IV ozone that helped him, that saved his life. After I talked to him and I talk about what should I do in my office, what should I do in my office. Things like, him and I'll talk about what I'm doing, he talks about what he's doing, and then we trade ideas back. Even in his book, Eat Fat, Get Thin. Multiple things in there were for me. I'm just saying. If someone has their phone not muted, can you please mute your phone? We are getting a little bit background noise. And I know this is going long, but you guys can get off whatever you want. And if you stay on as long as you want to, right? I'm doing this as a service. So this is no timeline, because I care for you guys. That's why we're doing this. But Mark told me, Dr. Hyman told me about, over a year ago, he said the next thing he would add to my office would be ozone. That's the amount of power it has. And that's why we're doing it, both rectal and IV in the office. If that's something that's interesting to you, let us know. And the way that we're doing it is people who don't have appointments or have never seen me, we're just doing a 30-minute appointment with me on just ozone or just IV nutrition. So you don't have to do the full functional medicine stuff if you just want that. So I think there's 3 people for who wants information. Let me write that down very or I guess if I end the meeting, I still have the chats. I don't have to do that. Have I heard of ozone in water? And do I think that's beneficial? My answer is yes, if you know how to do it. If you get too much ozone in water, that's harmful. If you have the right amount, that's great. Actually, what we're doing is we've looked at water now. We actually found a water, we call it the Canody MD water, that has the highest amount of oxygen and hydrogen in there. So our body then can use that to help make the oxygen and ozone that it needs. We have found that to be the safest way without the side effects in it. And that's been helping our circulation, and that's been helping our patients overall, getting IVs and other things. I don't know what ASEA means. So if that's an abbreviation, if they can spell that out, that's a question. The the second biggest thing, that was ozone. The second biggest thing was IV vitamin C. So when I look at the data from China, I look at the data from people all around the world, and Dr. Neil Reardon and the best people in the world, what are they saying to do? They are saying that IV vitamin C is very, very potent. And it's been used for, I don't know, 50 years, 75 years. Ozone's been used since, I think, the 1850s. So I like to use things that have been around a long time. I feel safer on those things than just things that just came out yesterday or last week or a year ago. And so IV vitamin C, again, it's just an IV. You can do them at the office. And if you're worried about other patients, we do have a separate room for social distancing patients also. And basically we give you an IV with magnesium, those two things only, that makes it work better, which can boost up the immune system. And what they have found, in theory, kill infections, bacteria, viruses, whatever. I make no promises. Again, I'm not allowed to say that it cures coronavirus. I can tell you in China, one of the doctors that were treating the patients in Shanghai found they were getting much better results on the hospitals that were using the IV vitamin C than the hospitals that were not using IV vitamin C. The patients who were using the IV vitamin C, they were spending 3 to 5 days less in the hospital. They were recovering better than the patients who weren't using IV vitamin C. So the way that I'm approaching it with myself, and even my doctor said for me, for prevention, was to do once a week IV vitamin C for prevention. We work our way, we build ourselves up for that. So that's what I'm doing for myself, and that's what I'm recommending for my friends and family. And then I guess the question is, can you get enough vitamin C from pills as you can from an IV? The answer is no. So again, our absorption in the gut, overall, maybe 30, 50%. So when you do an IV, you're getting 10,000% higher dosing based off the amount we can give and the amount of absorption. So it's not the same thing. The question is, yep, and Ruth and Jerome was asking about online appointments. We can do virtual appointments for everything now, all over the US, based on the new telemedicine law. You don't have to see us in the office for your first appointment or any follow-ups based on the new telemedicine law. That's for your safety, our safety. The only time patients are now coming into our office are just for procedures. And we are asking them if they have coronavirus symptoms. We don't see them in the office. Therefore, then we're protecting the other patients in the office. If you have symptoms, please call the office. We are making arrangements to work with you on a case-by-case basis. I don't know about this ASEA water, so I can't comment. So Anne Francis asked about medically fragile twins on ventilators. So Anne Francis, I don't know, is it a patient that has a patient's on a ventilator, if I'm understanding right? So I don't know if a patient on a ventilator can talk to me, so I guess let me ask it this, so answer it this way. I'm gonna guess a mother, father, or brother, sister. So your daughter nonverbal, and the way I would approach it is this. I would approach a regular new patient appointment for your daughter, where you and I talk about your daughter, we understand the history, and then we make a game plan for your daughter based off of her personal history. Do I think it's probably more important for her? Yes. That we get her through this safely, through this whole process. Cheryl asked a great question. That if you're high risk, you're advised not to go out of your house. You're right, not to go out of your house, but they're still telling you to go to the grocery store. They're still telling you all the other stuff. The risk of not getting an IV or ozone is probably higher than you staying home alone without getting the treatments that you need. That's why in the order they have said that from Governor DeWine that we want you to get food, we want you to get exercise, we want you to get health care, right? And we talked about forest bathing before. It's best to get your exercise in nature if you can, around conifers. And so my opinion with everything I'm researching is because the people that are having symptoms, right, in China and other places are using IV vitamin C. So any risk that you would have by being high risk, the vitamins or the ozone are helping that. And you're getting more bang for your buck than staying at home and not having that. So now let's talk about the fun part. This is what I had all my notes on for the people that have lasted this long. Okay. Okay, up to now, most of us have found our peace and happiness outside of ourselves. So for me, it might have been sports, other people's restaurants, other people, it is socialization. There's a fork in the road right now, a huge fork over the next 18 months. Will you be healthy and happy during this opportunity? Or will you be like the other 99% of Americans who, as soon as this crisis is over, they go back to their old life? Why are we the sickest country on earth of all the developed countries? Because we're not doing the basic things we need to do. Everyone, I want you to grab a pen or pencil or your cell phone or your computer to answer 3 questions. And if you can't answer these questions on pen and paper, think about it in your head. But I want everyone to answer these questions. This is the 3 Genie question. And it comes from a book called Beyond Willpower, or now it's called The Love Code by Alex Lloyd. I'll put a link in here for us. Okay, that's the link from Amazon. Yes. Okay. Question number 1. I want you to close your eyes, everyone. Imagine that an Aladdin genie is standing right in front of you right now. And I have an embarrassing story about that, but I'm not going to get into that. There's no one else around you, just you and the genie. Here's what he tells you. I'm going to give you one wish. You can wish for anything you want with only 2 limitations. You can't wish for more wishes, and you can't receive a wish that will take away someone else's free will. But the wish, you can basically wish for anything else, and you will get it. If you wish for $10 million, it's done. If you wish for an incurable health issue, it's healed. If you want a big achievement accomplished, it's yours. You get the idea. No one will ever know how you got it. They will think it just happened to you naturally through your course of life circumstances. Also, you can never have another wish in your lifetime. And if you don't know what it is in the next 10 seconds, you lose it. So I'm gonna give everyone 10 seconds to think about what they wish. Close your eyes and go. I'm going to stop, and I hope everyone wrote it down. If some people want to share in the chat box, please do so. And we're not going to judge anyone based on their goals. No one is writing, and that is fine. Bobby picked wisdom. Anyone else? So Elaine picked eternal life, family, long, healthy life, to know and serve Jesus more fully, unlimited resources. I think that means money, I believe. Eternal life, infinite universal attunement. Whoa, that's powerful. Okay, I think hopefully everyone has something. Some people wrote, some people didn't. My son interrupted me, so I missed the question. Okay, Jerome and Ruthie, it's a very long question. I don't know if I can read the whole thing again. Close your eyes. Imagine I am Aladdin, the genie, and I'm standing right in front of you right now on the Zoom webinar. There's no one else around, and you just you and the genie. No, and your son is not there to interrupt this. Here's what I tell you. I'm going to give you one wish. You can wish for anything you want with only 2 limitations. You can't wish for more wishes, and you can't receive a wish that will be taking away someone else's free will. But basically, you can wish for anything else, and you will get it. If you wish for $10 million, done. An incurable health issue healed, done. A big achievement, accomplished, victory. No one will know that you got it, and they will think it just happened naturally through the course of life circumstances. Also, you can never wish for another wish in your life, and if you don't tell me in 10 seconds or write it down, you lose it forever. So Jerome and Ruthie, I give you 10 seconds. Okay, I see David's answer, I see theirs. Now, question number 2 of 3. Close your eyes again. If you got what you most wanted in question number 1, what would that do for you and your life? What would that change in your life? Think about that. Don't have to write the answer for that, just think about it. And now question number 3. If you got the things from question number 1, infinite universal attunement, solution caused to climate and environmental problems, Jesus, perfect health. Question number 3 would be, if you got what you wanted, how would you feel? Think about that and write that down. Anne says peace. Other people, content, completely loved, accepted, and peace. Fully alive. I think we're all going to have a similar answer. Blessed and full of joy. True joy with peace. I don't know if you guys can see the thread here. Happy. So, beautifully kindness. So number 1, whatever you picked on the first question, many times that's an external circumstance. And that is what your conscious and unconscious is working towards all the time. Your question for question number 3 is what you truly want, not question number 1. If you're working towards question number 1, you will never be happy. If you work towards question number 3, now you actually know what your goal is. And you can have it right this second. That's an internal state. It has nothing to do with COVID-19, nothing to do with the economy, nothing to do with shelter in place, nothing to do with any of these things. Does that make sense? Right? Yes or no? I'm not saying I've taught you how to do it, but that's the concept. I see a lot of yeses. And sounds circular to me. That's good to know. And that's why there's more to do on this. Big picture is this. 1, you saw how your conscious and subconscious is working right now. It's not really towards what you truly want. That's number one. Number two is you've now figured out what you truly want. That's huge. 99% of people don't know what they truly want. So they're going along life and they never achieve it because they don't know what their goal is. What I'm saying is this. There's a fork in the road right now with this shelter in home. Is that we can be working on, quote unquote, all these various things. Or we can say, no, my end goal is peace, these other things. And I'm going to spend my time on those things, not worrying about COVID-19, not worrying about this. So I can be beautifully kind, true joy with peace, happy, blessed, full of joy, full of life. Like sky is the limit. Once you know that, it's easy to have the external stuff. But if you're working the external, the internal stuff never happens. It's like, I'm a victim of COVID-19. I'm a victim of this and this and this. The answer is you're not. You are fully in control of your internal state. Maybe you don't know how to do that. That can be taught. But don't let your power go away from your happiness, your peace. The fork in the road is now. Is this shelter in place gives you the time to get to your number 3 or your important goal. The rest is details. How you do that. Thank you, Elaine. That is so good. Again, I want to keep this simple. It ain't rocket science. What happy people know, what unhappy people know. It's very simple. We make it very complex. So I touched my face again. See, I should never do webinars. I should do only audios. Okay. So Jerome and Ruthie ask, how do we get there, right? Each person has their own path. Some people come from a spiritual standpoint. Some people come from a metaphysical. Some people come from other parts. I can give you 3 that have really helped me. Again, I don't want to offend anyone, so I can just tell you me. And there is a million different ways of getting there. I'll tell you maybe 3, 4, or 5, maybe. So my brain's always thinking, right? Number 1 is that peace anchoring. I've talked about this multiple times. The closest time you are to peace is when you first wake up in the morning. So the first thing I do when I wake up, I lay in bed, I connect to my peace. It takes me 30 seconds, a minute, 5 minutes, but I will feel peace throughout my body. And I'll say, okay, this is what peace feels like. And I'll check in with myself, maybe every half an hour, every hour, every 2 hours. Do I feel the same way I did when I first woke up in the morning? If I don't, I reattach myself. That's number 1. Number 2, I do the focus feeling exercise, which is what? That third question I asked you, that's your goal, right? Some people said peace and joy, beautiful kindness, joy with peace, blessed and full of joy, fully alive, content, completely loved and accepted, peace, peace. I would feel that, we call it focus feeling. Feel whatever you want to feel from head to toe, every cell in your body, and use all 5 senses. I might miss one, but use what would it look like? What would it feel like? What would it sound like? What would it taste like? All the 5 senses of that state in your body. And so that is the next step of it. Then the next thing is I listen to uplifting things, whether it's spiritual, whether it's metaphysical, something uplifting. I don't start off with CNN or MSNBC or Fox or any of that stuff, anything negative. If you truly want this, then I would listen to nothing that's negative, watch nothing that's negative or that brings you down. And so therefore then, and I would only hang around with people who would have that same goal as yours, peace, happiness, etc. I'd make a buddy out of that. And so then in terms of that is in terms of, but yes, but also if you have to listen to CNN or other things, please do so. But if you get out of your peaceful state, get back to your peaceful state. The books that I read the information from for the 3 Genie questions was a Beyond Willpower, but he rebranded it called the Love Code. That's why I put in there. And so that's another mechanism to help you get there. Some people use spirituality. So my spirituality is something called A Course in Miracles. And I listen to Gary Renard and Ken Wapnick. That's me. Everyone has a different way of doing this. Other people, it could be some other religion or something else like that. And so that's another way of doing it. But it's however you can find your way of doing this. There's a question from an iPhone. Have you heard of the Oura Ring? And so, yes, I've heard of it. I've not used it. Is there various apps that can measure what's called your heart rate variability in real time and buzz you when you're not in a peaceful state? The answer is yes. I have not. So one of them I used a lot. I used a lot one called Spire. See if I can find that one. I'll put it here. Inspirehealth.com, and I'll show you my screen. I guess if you can see my screen now. It's this device here in the middle. I put in yellow. It's about this big. You put it on your belt buckle, and it measures your breathing. And what happens, it buzzes me. It really does when I was using it, anytime I had stressful breathing. So it helped gauge me that when am I not in peace state. So it was really, really good for me. That's another medical device I have used. There are tons of now heart rate variability devices out there that that can also help with that. I think we're going to end there, big picture, unless people have questions. But again, we all are going to get there. Means that we're all going to get through this. We are. 97% of us are going to survive, minimum. It's a question, how are we going to survive? And is this going to be an opportunity for us to find our question number 3, the peace, the happiness, the contentment? Or will this 2 weeks, 2 months, 12 months, 18 months be heck or hell for us? We have a choice. Whatever decision you make is a perfect decision. No decision has to be made today, tomorrow, or next week, or next year. I will tell you this. The people who succeed, I'm all about reading research on success. The people who succeed, if you truly, truly, truly want to achieve that question number 3, you will take action within the next 48 hours and make it a habit. The research shows if you do not make a change, an adaptation or pivot within 24 to 48 hours, your chance of success drops exponentially. If you truly want this, if you want number 1, you will get number 1 by going through number 3. If you want number 2, you'll get to number 2 if you go through number 3. The number 1 reason why I find many patients do what I tell them to do are because they want their kids to have a better life than them. The number 1 way to have your kids have a better life than you is to accomplish number 3. When you accomplish number 3, you show your kids that it's possible. That's how we change society. The way you change society is you work on yourself. Don't fix the world. Don't do anything else like that. Work on yourself. The rest takes care of itself. So are you, I think this is the last, my throat's getting sore. So not because I have the COVID-19, I think I'm talking a little bit too much, is that, am I aware of any groups, study courses on A Course in Miracles? I'm not. And so same thing is, I'm not aware of anything like this. If people want, again, I have got the old book, the Beyond Willpower, not the new one, Love Code. If people want to do that in a group where we're all reading a chapter together and we're all doing that together, I'm open for that. We can figure out how that happens. Send a message to the office if that's something you wanted. I think I haven't told my staff about that yet, so their email may get flooded, but that's okay. I am the boss. Okay. So, let's use the health coaching one, email address, Tammy, and Tammy will collect who wants to be part of the group, and we'll figure out how to do that. Katie, it's my honor to help you and to care for you. because I know that's what I would want from my doctor. And that's what I would want from my community, right? And by me going through these things, right, I learn too, right? I'm with like-minded people. I'm with my friends, my peers, my family, right? The people in this room, these are like-minded people with you, right? These are the same people that are going to thrive and survive through this based off emotional intelligence, right? Like I have a tear in my eye almost of how honored I am to be with everyone tonight. This is why I got into functional medicine, integrative, alternative, whatever you want to say. Just being a good darn doctor. I don't even know what that means, but it just treats people the way you want to be treated and help people out, right? And the rest is details. That's how I treat my staff. That's how I treat my family and my friends. Treat them, again, treat your family the way you want to be treated. Treat your friends the way you want to be treated. The rest are details. I love all you guys. Thank you guys for spending time with me. I know you guys probably have to work tomorrow or whatever, or be sheltered in place, whatever that means. Just joking, we went over that. So have a great evening. I love everyone. God bless.